This is the new Acura Integra prototype. They say prototype, but this is going to be exactly what the production version looks like. I made a video yesterday on my second channel talking about what I think about this car. If it was just an Acura, a normal model without the Acura Integra name on it, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I also wouldn't make a video on it if that was the case. The problem occurs when we have this Acura nameplate attached to this specific car. This is the problem that a lot of manufacturers are doing today. They're bringing back old cool nameplates, slapping it onto something that doesn't have anything to do with the original car, such as this. Yes, it is not, thankfully, a crossover or an SUV or something like that, but this to me has nothing to do with the original Integra, and that's why I had to make this video, because I wanted to see if we can take this original identity of Acura and mold this into something that is more resemblant of the Integra that we all love, the two-door Type Rs of the late 90s, early 2000s that doesn't look anything like this. So that's why I'm making this video. I wanted to redesign this, but not just modernize the Integra of the past. Try to have the identity of Acura, mold this into something that is more in line with a good reincarnation of the cool Acuras, Integras of the 90s and 2000s. So let's have a look at the car here from a front view, and let's have a look at what we want to change here. First of all, this is a four-door, as you can see. Now, yes, there were some four-door Acura Integras previously, but nobody wanted those. Everybody wanted the cool two-door cars. So what I'm gonna do, first of all, remove this door right here, and what that means is that we need to definitely work on this bubble right here, which the greenhouse stretches this far. If you look at the original or the previous Integras, they have a very tiny comparison to the rest of the body. The greenhouse sits pretty close, and you have a trunk here or a boot that sticks out, and this hood also dips a little more than this. I'm gonna remove some of the mass here, make this more pointy, maybe have something like this going on, and maybe work a little bit with these intakes in the front. This looks like a BMW 5 Series intake to me. It's a cool styling feature, graphic feature, I guess, but it just doesn't really make sense to me. I want to have it be a little simpler, specifically if we want to have it resemble the previous Integras. The big problem overall, though, is the proportions of this thing. It just looks too fat in the rear, specifically from this view right here. It's a Hyundai Genesis Coupe for sure, based on not just the graphics of the taillights here, but also the proportions of this thing. It's definitely not an Integra. What we need to do is move this C-pillar back so we create more of a trunk, and of course we're gonna have to add a massive wing right here. It doesn't matter if it's functional or not. That is not the point with having a wing on an Acura. It's got 200 horsepower. It's not gonna need any downforce in the rear. It's just about having fun with the design and make it look cool. That's what the Integras are all about. Having fun without breaking the bank, that's what these cars are about. So adding some styling features just for the sake of making it look cooler, it's definitely in line with what the Integra is. These wheels also need to go. I want to have more classic wheels, more JDM style maybe. We're gonna have to play around with that, but in this view you can definitely see just how big this greenhouse is. So the greenhouse essentially starts here, and this is a Honda Civic hatchback copy, this section right here. We don't want that to have anything to do with a Civic hatchback, so we're gonna have to change this. So what I want to do here, this is I think the best view to explain this, is to, you see this line right here, the greenhouse, obviously we're gonna have to shrink this down. So what I mean by that is I want to have maybe go something like this and then dip here above the rear axle right here. On top of this axle we need to have this dip to create a trunk or a boot. On top of this boot we're gonna plant a wing, something like this, and we're gonna have more of a sloping line moving forward, meaning that we want to have more of a dip in the front end right here, make it look more sporty, and of course we're gonna have to shrink it down because this wheelbase here is based on this thing right here, a door in the rear end, and you also have a door in the rear end, and it's supposed to be a cool Integra. Those two things don't connect in my head. As I said, I know they built them before, but nobody wanted them. You were very uncool if you have a four-door Integra over the two-door version And this is the one people would want to buy because that's the one that people bought in the old days. The problem here is Acura didn't take any risk. They just put this into a hatchback to make more sales, to attract a larger audience of buyers. That's the problem with car design today, and specifically when you bring in a name like Integra and trying to make it cool again. This is kind of the opposite of cool. Instead of bringing this back as an Integra, they could have just brought it back as a new ILX, for example, because that's almost exactly what it looks like, an ILX hatchback, ILX Sportback, or whatever you want to call it. But don't bring back the Integra name, slap it onto a Honda Civic hatchback and call it a day. That's a pretty lazy approach to bringing back the nameplate of the Integra. So that's the reason why I want to try to redesign the proportions here and the overall design. We're gonna have to do a lot of stitching and surgery here to make this work. So let's see how it's going to turn. As I said in the video from yesterday on my second channel, there was zero energy in the launch of this thing, and I can definitely see why, because I remember Acura actually saying that if you were a fan of the Integra, you have nothing to worry about. We're gonna respect the homage or the legacy of the Integra and apply it onto this new car. And then they roll out with a Civic hatchback with an Integra sticker on it. Of course people are gonna be disappointed, as was I. The second I saw this car rolling out on the stage, I was like, I have other things to do. This is not what I was expecting to see. And it's such a missed opportunity for Acura and other car makers today as well, because they have this opportunity to bring back these awesome nameplates from back in the day when you were 16, 17 years old. If those people they're now grown up and they actually have some money to spend, if you bring back a name like this, like Integra, you need to make it right. You can't just bring it back like a hatchback, because the same people who were attracted to the original ones are not going to spend their money on this one as a modernized Integra, because it doesn't have anything to do with the original one that they have all the memories with. So it's a missed opportunity here from Acura to bring this back as a proper sports car, two-door with some funny, funky added graphic stuff to them, such as the wing, which we're gonna add here in this redesign. And it looks like an ILX facelift to me. It could be a ILX with some sort of sportback package onto this, and it also could be a Genesis Coupe, Hyundai Genesis Coupe. If you look at it from a 3/4 rear view, it's almost spot on as a Hyundai. It would just have to remove the badge Acura, slap on a Hyundai, and we're good to go. As I've said, I don't have any issues with this model specifically. It looks like it's in line with Acura's current lineup when it comes to the branding and the design identity and the design philosophy. The problem I have is when, as I said, when they slapped on the Integra name onto this, that's where this problem occurred. Otherwise, it's a pretty decent looking car, nothing special about it. Really sad to say, since it is the new Integra. So what's the spec and tech here of the 2023 Integra? Let's talk about that a little bit. It shares not just the same body as the Civic hatchback, it also shares the same engine. So you have the same engine here from the Civic Si. It's a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a limited slip differential, so you can have some fun with it. There's no official power number, but you can expect it to have the same kind of power as the Civic Si. It's going to be about 200 horsepower, something like that. One good thing that they did here that we can take from this is it's the first Acura with a 6-speed manual since the ILX from 2015, I think. So at least they put a manual in the Integra. Otherwise, you could, I don't know what it would be. It would definitely have nothing to do with the original Integra if they just offered an automatic for this one. As we've said before, all three past generation of the Integra C all offered a 2-door version of the Integra, but we know that that's not going to happen with the 2023 model. And as I've said, I've explained why that is a big mistake. People remember, they have good memories, just like I do and just like you do. If you're in my age or older, you're gonna have some good memories with cars. The first cars you played around with as a newly licensed driver. For example, I had a bunch of Volvos. If Volvo came back with a modernized 240 or something like that, or a 480, which is a coupe looking design, that actually gives me an idea to maybe redesign and modernize a Volvo 480 ES. Anyway, if they come back with something like that and they turn it into an SUV, of course I'm gonna get disappointed, because the memories I have with that old car has nothing to do with this new version of what the company is trying to portray as an homage to the original one, if that makes sense. And that's the case here with the Integra as well. But I think it has some potential. That's what I wanted to make this video. I was thinking, should I make this video or not? But then I started to fiddle around in Photoshop a little bit just with my mouse, and kind of saw that we can maybe take this somewhere where it actually looks like both a new Acura with the current design language and also an Acura that could be proud to have the nameplate Integra on it. If you're interested in buying one, the 2023 Integra will go on sale next year with a starting price of around $30,000, which is not too bad. It's probably a super fun car to drive with the manual stick, and then you have the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, around 200 horsepower. Not bad. It's probably going to be, as I said, a pretty decent car to drive. The only problem is that it's not a two-door, it lacks the wing, so it isn't really an Integra, but we've talked enough about that for today, and I will see you in the next video.